Warner Brothers.
The beacons are lit!
WB.
Calls for aid!
Embracer Group.
Will answer. Muster the Rohirrim.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been literal years since I have made a video, and we're just going to treat this as kind of like a, shaking off the rust type of video. Bear with me, I'll try to keep this succinct. We are going to be talking about some big news. Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema made a deal with Embracer Group, the people who own the rights to like a lot of the Tolkien stuff. They can do stage plays, movies, shows. They just made a huge deal where there are going to be more Lord of the Rings movies, so let's talk about that. All right, so I have an article here from Deadline. I'm going to read some parts of it, just the important parts. It's pretty short, and then we'll discuss them. So here it says, New Line Cinema and Warner Bros. Pictures have hammered out a new multi-year agreement with Embracer Group AB's Middle-earth Enterprises to team on new Lord of the Rings movies. Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav dropped the news Thursday during the company's call to discuss Q4 2022 earnings results. Zaslav has mentioned in previous calls the need for more franchises on the big screen. So Zaslav obviously wants to get like Harry Potter on screen again. He wants to get more Lord of the Rings movies on screen, and he's making moves on that, and I think that's good. My overall opinion on this is I am optimistic. I am cautiously optimistic, but as long as they treat this property properly, I think we could have some real bangers on our hands as far as new cinematic experiences in Tolkien's world. They do, however, say something that is, I think, about the closest to them saying that they are not just going to be remaking the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Following our recent acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprises, we're thrilled to embark on this new collaborative journey with New Line Cinema and Warner Bros. Pictures, bringing the incomparable world of J.r.r. Tolkien back to the big screen in new and exciting ways. This is from the CEO of Embracer Group's operative group, Freemode. He also says, we understand how cherished this is the important part. We understand how cherished these works are. Working together with our partners at New Line Cinema and Warner Bros. Pictures, we plan to honor the past, look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality and production values. What I take from that is that they are not just going to be blatantly remaking a trilogy that's near perfect. I just watched those movies recently, and they still stand up to this day. A lot of the practical effects look incredible. Even a lot of the CGI effects, while some dated, still look like Gollum still looks incredible. So I don't really see a need to remake near perfect movies. If they do, however, it could be in the animated space, which would be interesting. That'd probably be about the only way that I accept that. So backtracking a little bit, they do say, New Line and Warner Bros. Animation are currently in production on The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, an original anime set 183 years before the events of The Lord of the Rings. The movie, which tells the fate of House Helm Hammerhand, the legendary king of Rohan, is set to open theatrically on April 12th, 2024. So that kind of sets a precedent for animated movies. And that leads me to believe that one of the things they will be doing, whether it's first or a little bit down the line, is maybe making The Lord of the Rings into another animated film, because there is one from the 70s, but it only got, I believe, to the Battle of Helm's Deep, and then the part 2 never happened. They could remake The Hobbit. Honestly, as like one of my like kind of filmmaker goals in life is to make The Hobbit, because I like the Hobbit trilogy for the most part. But it's got a lot of issues, and it's not really aging well as time goes on. So I think animation would really suit it. And there already is a sweet Hobbit animated movie with some banger songs too. So imagine like another hand-drawn animated Hobbit. Accessible to children, accessible to adults, kind of scary. Like I think things like the Goblin King, Smaug, and other aspects of the story should be kind of scary. But that would be exciting. That would probably be something that I'm anticipating the most, just because, got Smaug tattooed on me. I would like to see another version of him. Even though I like the Hobbit version of him for what it was, I think that there are other opportunities to nail that character, and I think they have yet to do it. They also go on to talk about Peter Jackson's trilogy, and they say, for all the scope and detail lovingly packed into the two trilogies, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the vast, complex, and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.r.r. Tolkien remains largely unexplored on film. The opportunity to invite fans deeper into the cinematic world of Middle-earth is an honor, and we are excited to partner with the Middle-earth Enterprises and Embracer on this adventure. The way I see that, honestly, is them saying that they are interested in stories we haven't seen. Yes, there is the the faded, if you will, saying of bringing new people in, you know, with Halo. Excuse me, I don't know what happened there. Broader audiences, you know, that can go very poorly. But with the previous statement about honoring the past, looking to the future, and you know, just kind of utmost quality and things like that, they do seem to have a leg up. And the reason I say that is because this isn't Amazon. They are now competition to Amazon. This has the potential to only make their product better and Amazon's product better. So hopefully that's kind of what we can take out of this. Now, given, and that's the brunt of their article, they do go on to praise like the Lord of the Rings and things like that. Here's my take on this. The floodgates are open. We now have the opportunity to get more cinematic experiences in Tolkien's world. Yes, that can go very poorly. Some people's perception of the Rings of Power attests to that. But if they stick true to what they just said, and they don't focus too much on the broader audience and modernizing everything, I think that they could have some real hits on their hand, and they do sound like they want to explore other aspects of Middle-earth that have not been put to screen, like the article says. They could do things like, you know, some of the fan films, like The Hunt for Gollum is really cool, and I think there's one called Born of Hope or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But those are pretty neat. They could do tighter, smaller stories that could possibly lead into something else. They did also say in that article something that's kind of alarming in the sense of, you know, it sounds like they want to do the MCU thing and have this whole cinematic universe. The one thing I'll say to that is Tolkien's world is already a literary universe. So as long as they don't go too much into like, oh, you know, we told this cool story about Isildur, but we also want to tell this other story about this character or this dwarf who wasn't even alive, Dane or something like that when Isildur was, and find a way to do that. You know, as long as they don't do too much mix mashing like, you know, the Rings of Power has done, I think they could do some really cool things, like starting with smaller stories. Tell a cool story about a dwarf, whether it's a new character or a character from Tolkien's work, and have it like lead into the war with the dragons, you know, or the war in the north, or the war against the orcs at Khazad-dûm. Balrog stuff. Another thing I'm seeing a lot of people talk about is like the Angmar War. They could do that kind of like as the big buildup. And saying that, I'm getting a little bit of a pit in my stomach, like, oh, I really don't want a cinematic universe type of feel. I really don't want like an MCU type of feel. But as long as it doesn't, you know, bastardize any of Tolkien's works, I think they could have something there. They just got to be careful. They got to be faithful. They got to tell the spirit of Tolkien's stories. Now, another thing I'll say that I should have mentioned at the beginning, this is the same kind of rights as Amazon has. No first age. So as much as I want to see Glaurung, you know, a dragon that like kind of levels up as the battles go on, and he's like a servant of Morgoth, and he just gets more and more dangerous and scary. We're not going to see stuff like that, and we're not going to see Morgoth. We're not going to see Ungoliant, no Gondolin, no First Age, Year of the Trees. So it kind of sucks. But within the Second Age, what they can work with, and within even some cool stuff in the Third Age, I think there's potential. I think there is now, once again, potential for Lord of the Rings to really do something truly great. Because as much as I was excited for the Rings of Power, I had a sneaking suspicion that it was going to end up exactly how it ended up. I feel like even though I liked, not loved, and have some major issues with it, there's some cool stuff to it. But I did pretty much think, yeah, this is exactly how that was going to go. So all I'm saying is now they have the potential with competition between Amazon's Lord of the Rings stuff and Warner Bros. New Line Cinema Lord of the Rings stuff. There is now the potential for that competition to sprout even better Tolkien content. But now this is where I kind of pass the question along to you guys. What do you think about this news? Are you excited? Are you cautiously excited? Do you have high hopes? What do you want to see? Like, most importantly, what would be the first Tolkien movie you would want to see? That's probably the biggest, most exciting question. So let me know in the comment section down below. Stick around for more video, guys. I had a whole plan to like relaunch the channel March 1st, but this news broke. So here we are, and look forward to some more news about Lord of the Rings. We are next going to be talking about The Last of Us show, and probably doing an episode by episode Mandalorian coverage. So excited to hear what you have to say in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.